Welcome back to Let's Talk Harlingen. I'm Mayor Norma Sepulveda.
And I'm Cassandra Concilio.
We're here to keep you updated, informed, and connected to your city.
Let's get into it.
And in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Harlingen. This is episode 21, and this is our commission recap. Cassandra, can you imagine 21? We're here already.
I think this is great. We've been learning. We've been growing. I think our audience is also growing with us. And I think it's great that we get to discuss what happens in the commission meetings in a more casual setting. So I love learning and talking about this stuff with you because as a staff member, you know, I kind of only know what's going on in our department, maybe just the fun departments. I don't necessarily know what's going on in engineering. And we really get to do a deep dive. So I think it's great.
Awesome. Yes, we've been getting a lot of positive feedback. I know I've been getting messages that people appreciate the fact that they can tune in and kind of just get the information that is more pressing or news, events, and of course, city business. And so I think it's a good thing. So what we are going to get right into it.
You had some announcements.
We did. So on the mayor's announcements, I talked about our trip to the Boys and Girls Club. I was so excited. Remember, we covered here on Let's Talk Harlingen, the state of the city, and how we raised all those funds. And so $40,000 went to the Boys and Girls Club. And we got an opportunity to kind of look to see how they were going to put those funds into action. And we know that some of it is going to go to security, which is important for the kids in terms of cameras and things like that. But a big portion of it went to a podcast studio just like this. It is awesome.
Well, I know that you guys had like a little ribbon cutting for them and they showed you some of their secrets. I guess they have a little show over there. I'm glad that the girls and the boys are using the podcast studio to learn about media, to learn about the communications, to learn about different ways, you know, of technology. And I'm glad that you were able to help build this room for them.
It's fantastic. And we did kind of a little plaque presentation, and we wanted our sponsors to know, we wanted to give them something tangible this year, right? To say, this is what you're doing. You're giving back to the youth in our community. And when you invest in our kids, right? I mean, that is something I think everybody can get behind. But it's nice to be able to go and look to see how that all comes to fruition. And so I even got to be interviewed by Kat and Marley. And I told them that hopefully, because they asked for tips, I said, you know what, come visit Cassandra and I. Maybe we can chat at our studio. So I'm hoping that they'll come over.
Kat and Marley, you guys are welcome here. And actually, we welcome them and anybody interested in podcasting. Like, email us, Let's Talk Harlingen. It's always open for any sort of communication about the podcast or questions, things like that. And I definitely want them to come over here because Brandon and the communications team have set up a really fun studio for us where we have cameras, we have lights, we have pink lights because we're girls. But we have a lot happening here, and it's good for them to be able to see what they would practice, that it could be a career, right? Because sometimes like an interest would seem like, well, what are you going to do with that? And it can be a career, and we definitely encourage them to keep going, and like maybe we'll have them on here. I hope they do come.
I hope so. I tried to recruit some of them. Callista was with us, and she does all the great, cool graphics and stuff here at the city. And so we walked in, and there were just a group of kids working on Canva, and I was like,
great.
Hey, it's hard to get the directors in our city to get on board, and so to see these 12-year-olds really tackling it was awesome. But
way to go, Kat and Marley, keep it up.
Yes, they are not of the working age yet, so for those of you that are watching, this is all in good fun. We're not trying to get any kind of child labor or any issues here at the city. But yeah, that was wonderful. So that was kind of my announcements, and then of course the city commission had their opportunity to announce a few things. A lot of stuff happened over the weekend. Whether there was a cleanup, we also had
the Run with the Heroes,
and so they touched on a little bit of everything that happened, and that's kind of what we do on the announcements. And then moving right along to the proclamations, we had of course, every commission meeting we have a pet of the week. And this was no different. We're going to go ahead and show our viewers Roberto. They call him Roberto. I called him Roberto. I guess tomato. But one thing is, he was super cute.
And he's been there since August. So we really want to encourage everybody to go to the Markowski location to go check them out and to see who else is there. There's always new pets coming in. Maybe
Yes.
nobody, touched your heart that day, but step in the next week, maybe somebody will.
Yes, definitely. And so that was really nice. He was very well behaved. He had a little like purple kind of handkerchief deal
Cute.
going on, and I saw him playing outside before I got there to the museum.
And they always have clinics happening around the valley,
Yes.
not just necessarily in Harlingen. I think they go to Weslaco, they go to Brownsville, they go to
Yes.
different locations. So please follow them on Facebook so you can get all the information for the Harlingen Animal Shelter.
Right.
And they could say, oh, there's going to be a clinic this week, or I need to sign up for the spay and neuter this week, or all of the information. They're really good about keeping it up to date. So got to check them out
Absolutely.
there. And then Stefano's Brooklyn Pizza is your business of the month, Mayor.
Yes, we've been doing this for a while now, and it's always so nice. We have so many, just real, small businesses that really pour into the community. And Stefano's, I think everybody has followed their story. From they had some issues, right? But they're the epitome of resilience, right? Being able to rebuild and be stronger and better. And they have such a beautiful space. And I know that we've utilized it at, when we have city functions. And also, if you just want to host people from out of town, it's a great place. They have, plenty of space. Food is delicious. Pizza is on point. And so we were very, very grateful to them for all that they do in helping with charity events, and they're always hosting like pasta nights and things like that for the
They
kids.
are definitely the first ones to say, what can we do for the
Yes.
community? Because they know the community came through for them when they had a difficult time. And
Right.
so it's really lovely for you to be able to recognize them and to see Chris, she's everywhere.
I know. And I tell her, every time you walk, it doesn't matter what's going on, she always has this big smile on her face, and she's so welcoming. And it's just everybody there has a great attitude. It's really good vibes at Stefano's. So if you haven't been, I don't know where you've been, but definitely we encourage you to visit Stefano's, another business of the month, deserving of the recognition, and we need to continue to support them.
And then, of course, you recognize J&B's Cafe, which is right down the road from where we are right now on Jackson Street. And this is really a downtown staple. We walk over for lunch all the time. And Beth is great. Her husband is great. They have just like some really good specials that
Yes.
people really come to love. And, on Mondays they have X, or on Tuesdays they have Y, and everybody goes on their certain day that they love.
Right.
And it's great. So it's just like a really like a family oriented place. So definitely J&B's deserves to be recognized. And then you had also the 80th anniversary of National Disability Employment Awareness.
This was really nice. We forget about all, not forget, but I think sometimes we don't give enough attention to all of the wonderful partners that we have in our community that are continuously working. Yes, this is the awareness of National Disability Employment Month. However, they work towards this goal all year round, right? And so the goal is to make sure that individuals that have a disability are still valued, and they feel, that they are able to be in the workforce. And sometimes, I think that's important because, individuals need an opportunity for, equitable employment. And I think sometimes that helps them. And I mean, you think about your job, and it's part of your identity, really. And so having that place to go to and feeling welcomed, and, that your disability is not a barrier, I think that is important. And they said something like, part of our your lifespan as a human being, that at some point you may also be in that category where you're going to need some kind of assistance too. And we don't sit back and reflect on that enough. But just knowing that there's good people out there doing the hard work all the time is really heartwarming.
Mm-hmm. I think something about our podcast is that we do in the city of Harlingen have a lot of programs for help.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good that we highlight them and we discuss them here, and we give the viewers and anybody really listening, say that if you have something, you're starting a new business, call the EDC, right?
Right.
You have a disability, but you don't really know what to call them. So I wanted us to be like the bridge, connecting people that have issues that we really try to have a solution for you, right?
Right.
Whether it be, something they didn't pick up your trash, or
Right.
you have a certain issue. Like, we really want to be the bridge. And so this is just another way that we can tell everybody there, if you do have a disability and you don't necessarily think that there's anybody that can help you, there is,
There
right?
is.
So really, like, reach out to us, or reach out to them, see how we can help you with that. So that's a really
Yeah.
great proclamation. 80 years of helping people with disabilities is a long time, and I know they're going to continue growing, and hopefully with more recognition, more people can reach out to them, or maybe if they need, like, whatever they need, they get it, because we
Right.
want them to get, we want to help as many people as possible. So that's a really great proclamation that you had.
Absolutely. I think it was definitely something that everybody was excited about. I'm glad we were able to recognize them. And so moving along on our agenda, I know those that have been watching are, usually following along on the agenda. We had, of course, our citizen communication, and this is the time where folks come and provide their comments. There was a lot of comments, kind of skipping around here, but there was a lot of comments regarding an agenda item that we had on the agenda. It was something that was tabled. It was a development that is wanting to come into the city of Harlingen. And so a lot of the community members had some concerns, and it can, and that was an opportunity for them to really voice their concerns. And so I know that the commission is listening, and staff is listening, city management, and of course also the developers. I think that they want to know what the community wants. They want to understand the concerns, so that way, hopefully, right, we can all work together, and it could be a win-win situation for everyone. And so we did have quite a bit of people come out on our commission meeting. And then, of course, elections are going on right now for, throughout the whole county. And there's a lot of those propositions that are, at the state level. And so a lot of people are coming out to vote. And so we were displaced from Town Hall to the Harlingen Heritage and Arts Museum. And so we were there, and it was limited space. So we were really at capacity yesterday because we weren't in our normal venue. But luckily, everybody was able to come in, voice their concerns, and be able to give the adequate time. So we're happy about that. And then, of course, our consent agenda. We're just a lot of good, useful information, but a lot of stuff on second reading. Remember, we talked about everything needs 2 readings. So you have the first reading, there's discussion, and then it comes back on the consent agenda. Lots of grants that we are
Yes.
getting. So encourage people to take a look at that. Our grant department is on fire, so they're doing a great job.
Way to go. I do want to say that if anybody wants to follow along with us, I literally go to harlingentx.gov. I go to agendas, and I click city commission meeting for the date that we need. And you can download the PDF directly to your computer, and then, or you can just, read from there, and then
Right.
we print them. So this agenda is posted 3 business days before the meeting, right? People have plenty of time to review it, see what they would like to come talk about. They could sign up online to discuss anything that they would like to come do the public comment.
Right.
But this really is available online for you readily, and I print it out for us to talk about it here. I don't even go to the meetings. I just watch them at home. So everybody can watch them at home, and then if they want further discussion, again, it's really important to remember that if somebody does go to public comment, it's not a discussion time.
Right.
And so, maybe somebody who's just starting to get involved and just says, hey, why didn't they answer the question? This person is upset. Why didn't the mayor answer her question or his question? And the reason is we cannot. So we want to
Right.
remind everybody that there are decorum rules, like not approaching the dais, not having cameras in there. There's a lot of rules that we need to follow in order for everybody to be safe and for everybody to be heard, and for the business meeting to be conducted appropriately. And
Right.
so, again, I think you always say city management will get in contact with you afterward. So if you feel like she should have said something, we can't. It's always important for us to say there's always a professional in the room that will be able to help you, which is usually city management.
Right.
So if you do have a public comment and you didn't get your question answered, stay back and give your card or your information to city manager, and they will get back to you, and they will help you resolve the problem, or at least talk it out.
Right, right.
Everybody that goes there wants to be heard, and we want to answer the question. We just can't do it then. So it's really important to remind our viewers, maybe they're just starting to get into the city commission life.
Right.
And that is just really important for us to remember the rules.
I'm glad you brought that up because sometimes I forget, and it's good to give our viewers and our listeners kind of that reminder. And I know that sometimes we say that when they're Myra does a good job reading off the agenda, but it's so kind of robotic that I think people maybe tune out to what the rules are when it comes to citizen communication. But I guess the best way to think about this is that city governments have work to do, right? And so our commission meetings are work sessions, really. And so that's where we do business, and the law requires us to do business in an open setting where the public can observe. So it's not a town hall where we're engaging. It's a meeting conducted by the city commission, and you're allowed to come in and observe. And so the public comment is just an opportunity. And usually it's designed so that way, if there's an item on the agenda, such as like many of those that went out on yesterday's meeting, they can say, item whatever, item H, item L. These are my concerns on this item, and that's really what it's for. But sometimes it kind of deviates from there, and that's okay. But it's we have so many opportunities for engagement in the community. So really the commission meeting isn't the place for that kind of back and forth feedback, but like we have a town hall coming up, right? So we have a town hall once a year with all of the commission. We have town halls in the individual districts. We do coffee with the mayor. 2 years back we did all these walks with the commission. I mean, there's constant opportunities built into our system, so that way we can have that dialogue with the community.
All right. So we got right into, I'm sorry, kind of made us get off of topic.
Important stuff, though. Good job, Cassandra.
So like you mentioned, second reading things have already been discussed.
Right.
Everybody's already given reports. We've already kind of said, okay, these are going to happen. Business as usual.
Right.
And then we had a really nice discussion by Orlando Campos, the CEO of the Harlingen Economic Development Corporation. So we had the EDC on here. We had the Rise Up Challenge winners on here. Harlingen EDC is so important. We really want to support them. And they gave you a little bit of their report card.
Right. And so we want to, of course, invite our viewers to come out and not come out, but go watch the video. Watch the video because it is a pretty lengthy presentation, but really important. These staff reports are designed so that the community has an update as well as the commission of what's going on. And, he's setting out the goals of what's to come. These are important metrics for us to be able to evaluate. And I know one of the commissioners said, hey, we had metrics last year. Where are we at? Did you meet them all? And he said, yes, we did. And we are working towards some others that maybe just need a little bit more work. And so that's a good opportunity to kind of just see where we're at with the EDC. Another thing for people, those of you that watch from home, a really cool thing, if you watch on YouTube, like on your television at home, you don't really have the same way to kind of navigate the agenda. But if you're watching on your tablet or an electronic device, there's actually a place where you can click on the agenda items, so you don't have to go through the whole several hours sometimes, but you can say, hey, I want to watch the staff report. Then you can go and look at item A8C, click on that, and it leads you right to that item. So that way you can really
jump to
have an opportunity to look at that. So so that's really good. We want people to go ahead and do that. And then of course we had several public hearings. Public hearings are designed to give people an opportunity whenever there's going to be like a special use permit, a change of zoning, things like that. It gives the opportunity for the community in the surrounding area to give notice and to be heard, whether they approve of a project or they don't approve. And then, of course, this isn't just here. You have the planning and zoning board, and there's hearings there to be heard. So there's multiple opportunities. And so at our commission meeting, we didn't have anybody come out on these multiple. We had three public hearings, and no one came to speak on those. And so those, we had that opportunity. But again, that generally means that there's no opposition to these projects that are coming.
Wonderful. And then, of course, we did mention that when we get to the ordinances, this is one So the ordinance 10D is one that was tabled in the meeting of October the 6th, and it was retabled last night.
Right. That's what I was mentioning earlier,
Correct.
that it's a subdivision wanting to come in, and it's a pretty, massive subdivision in an area. And so the community had just had some additional concerns and questions. And so that is continued to be tabled. I'm hopeful that we can bring that back at our next meeting and have some resolution to this item. Another thing that was important is a little bit more of the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes. So on item 10E, we awarded the Boys and Girls Club of Harlingen for fiscal year 2026 $145,757 for the teen service program. So this is a budget that they get yearly from the city of Harlingen for teen service program. So as we know, the youth of Harlingen and the surrounding communities really rely on the Boys and Girls Club for activities, for sports programming, for places for them to be safe at. I know they have basketball courts. I know they have so much now. They have a podcast and media room, but they have so much in a safe environment, right? So that's really where the city comes in and gives them their annual budget for the teen services programs. That's what we awarded them in E. And then in F, we awarded the Boys and Girls Club Youth Service Program $140,000. So these two amounts, in addition to probably monies that they raise and they, but this is really all the money that they have to run this facility 24/7 for the community of Harlingen surrounding areas, for the youth, for the children, for them to have program year round.
Right.
So there's summer programs, there's basketball leagues, there's everything happening year round there. And again, we really want to continue to support the Boys and Girls Club of Harlingen because they just do a fabulous job and just keeping our children safe, keeping them engaged, keeping them sports motivated. Right. And there's always a safe place for the children to go in Harlingen. And that, I think, is priceless, but actually there is a price right here. But it's just, we want to keep supporting. It's an investment in our youth and our teens. We cannot forget the teens. Sometimes it's like, oh, just youth activities, but the teenagers need something to do as well. So hopefully, the programs continue to grow, the kids continue to go there, and I know we will be there. We're going to be in basketball. And the Boys and Girls Club is great. So thank you to Gerald and to Alma and to everybody that keeps that place going. And I know that these programs need to continue to go. So keep taking your kids to the Boys and Girls Club of Harlingen. So that's items E and F. And then the big mama one that we have, item 10G, was a consideration and possible action to approve the proposed list of streets for the 2026 Streets Improvement Program. So the engineering department for the city of Harlingen listed a lot of streets.
Right.
And we're happy. It's a big list. I'm happy to read them all off because it's a big list of streets that we're improving. I know that the city of Harlingen, this is a new department.
Right. And so, this is, I'm sorry, I kind of, you when you were talking about,
I was
transitioning, you were talking about teenagers, and I have a teenager in a couple of weeks. Evan will be a teen. So I'm like, I was just thinking about all that, and I tuned out for a minute there. Sorry. But yes, this is a big one. And so the Streets Improvement Program. So, before we, the city of Harlingen for years, right, historically have been, trying to tackle streets. And so there's a small fund, right, that goes just for street improvements. And so we used to contract that out with the price of materials and the price of construction, inflation, and contractors. We were limited in the amount of streets that we could do. And so now we have a streets crew, and where we used to do about 4 miles a year of streets, right? And some streets, are smaller than others, but collectively it'd be about 4 miles. Now we're doing more than double. So we're able to do that because we have an in-house crew. We do all of the labor in-house. We have the equipment. We've invested in equipment, invested in our people, and now we don't have to contract it out, and we can just do more. So on this fiscal year, they presented 61 miles for this fiscal year. And Commissioner Lopez and I added on a couple more last night, and so it's really exciting to see that we hear the concerns from the community, and so I think people always ask, like, how do you determine which streets to do, right? Because everybody's like, I want you to do this street, I want you to do my street, I want you to do street by my business, by my house, or what have you. But we had a study done. I think it was in 2022, and it was a kind of, they went through the entire city to see which ones had which ones needed to be a priority, and then engineering provides us that list, and they really go by the ones that are have the most traffic and that really need the most help. That, and in addition to that, we have the app, and so when people are saying, hey, there's potholes here, that data is something that we use. And then, of course, the commissioners advocate for their individual districts. And that together is how they determine. So, yes, we have this huge list of streets, and there is streets in every single district that are scheduled for next year. Or this year, sorry.
For this year, because of course we start October 1st.
Right, this fiscal year
is our fiscal year. So it's a long list, and we're going to have it here attached for our listeners and viewers on our Facebook. We'll have it on our website.
Yes.
And I know that it's really important to say that, I mean, I don't think that you go, mayor wants the street fixed, fix
Right.
it. It does not work like that.
Right.
It is data collected to the engineering department. The engineering department creates a list based off the budgets that they have, the reports that they have, then a list is created.
Exactly.
And so this list is in order of importance, over 10 miles. That's wonderful. And 10 miles a year, we're going to get there, and it's over double what we were doing. So it's thanks to the new streets crew.
Right.
Chris over there in Public Works is pushing them, I'm sure. So
yes,
and then you raise the bar when you add more streets.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be more about like probably 12 or 13 miles at the end of the day. But just to kind of give you an idea, and we're going to ask Callista to go ahead and post or show our viewers what we're talking about. And there is a ton of streets, but just to kind of pick a few that people are probably going to be excited about is in District 1, you've got Briggs Coleman over by Loop 499. You've got North 13th Street, which is over by Grimes Avenue in District 1. There's several other. You'll notice here that there's a bunch of streets that are within the neighborhoods. We were trying to really focus on quality of life and people's homes, right, where they live. So there's South Mark Circle, there's Jeff Street. There's so many in District 1. In District 1, it's about 2 miles altogether. In District 2, you've got North I Street, West Jefferson Avenue, T Street, Washington Avenue, and West Roosevelt Road, which is really necessary. And then in District 3, I think that we've talked about it here before. A lot of people have asked about, what about Austin Avenue, and all those streets that, it's pretty tough. And I hear about it, especially when the school year starts, right? We get the parents start, to talk to us about when are you going to fix these streets? There's a bunch of potholes. Well, those are all scheduled for this coming year, or I'm sorry, this fiscal year. We also have Lazy Lake Drive. We've got North 13th Street, North 17th Street. Those are just kind of give you an example of what's happening. On District 4, we've got Colorado Street, which, we've been doing a lot of improvements out in that area. So this is going to complement that. Hale Avenue, that's really needed out there. South L Street and some others. And then District 5, you've got Hick Hill Road, Orange Drive, South Palm Court Drive. We've been, a lot of folks have been asking us about that. And Citrus Drive. And those are just to that's not all of them, but just so you have an idea of what's to come. I added Bob Euchre Road. If you've gone out there, I know that we are really focused on economic development. And so these are all like neighborhood streets, but when we look at the airport, how important the airport is, and if we want to be able to expand on that east side of the airport, that road needs to be drivable. And right now it's just not. And so I wanted to make sure that we were looking at that. We've had our delegation, our federal delegation, I think even the governor, people coming down here to see what's going on at our airport, and the potential for development out there. We want them to be able to drive down that road and it be nice and smooth. So there's that. And then, of course, Commissioner Lopez advocated last night for some additional improvements on Commerce, which we do. I think I probably get a call about Commerce once a week. So that's super important. We've got a lot in the pipeline for Commerce. So this is just in addition to all the work that is already ongoing and that we hope to get additional funding for. But as we've learned, whenever we are the recipients of grants, it takes a while before the federal government or even the state cuts the check. So you could be waiting quite a long time to be able to get the funds, to be able to get the work done. And so since we have this in-house crew, we want to be able to start doing some work on there to give the community a little bit of relief in that area.
I mean, it's a long list, and I'm sure somebody's going to, everyone's going to be very thankful. I know that we see the comments, we hear what people say, and these are heavily trafficked areas that, again, and I think it's really important to also say for the public to be to bear with us during the construction or during the repaving of these roads. Every time I see a work crew out there or somebody, I'm like, thank you. I will go around. What I mean? We will slow down because every pothole that's being fixed does take time, right? Every street that's being repaved are humans working on that street.
Correct.
And so we need to be respectful of the area, right? If it's closed off, you have to do a little, what do they call it? Detour.
Yep.
It's okay because at the end of it, we're going to get a better street. Our streets are being improved. So let's stay positive. When the streets are being fixed, it's good. I will take the detour because at the end of it, we're going to have a better, street.
Teamwork.
Yeah. So again, and I think it's really important that you mentioned the app. So we have a City of Harlingen app that you can report where there's a pothole, there's an issue, a street light is out, anything kind of like a work order, I think it is. And the department actually has 24 hours and 48-hour reminders to report to fix it, right? And so that is data for us.
Right.
The more you use the app, the more we know that there's a problem, the faster we can fix it. And so again, everybody should have that app. Yeah. Everybody who says, what about this street? Well, did you report it in the correct manner?
Right.
Maybe, right? So we need to make sure we're reporting the things that we see for it to be fixed in the appropriate manner for the city department to do.
Right. And I think it's important, I love that you say in the right manner, right? Want to remind people that the right manner, the best manner, obviously, is to report it in the app because that, of course, you have a record. You are going to have a work order generated, and there will be follow-up and a decision made, right? Whether it's this is something that we can tackle now or this is something we have to work towards, but there will be some kind of resolution to the question being posed, right? Or the concern or the picture that is uploaded or what have you. That's the best way. The second is send an email to your city commissioner that is in charge of your district. And what's really cool is you can go on the City of Harlingen website and there's a spot as soon as you open up the website on the landing page says, who represents me? You enter in your address and it says, you are represented by, and it'll say who your commissioner is. Also important, a lot of people that live in the outside of the city think that it's part of Harlingen. If it says not found, that means you're probably in the county, right? And so then, of course, you talk to your county commissioner because it's county road, most likely. Those two methods are the ways that you can have your receipts, right? Receipts that you actually made a request. Because sometimes I'll talk to people and they'll say, I've been complaining about this road for 5 years. And I said, oh, well, how, who was it so that I can follow up? And they're like, no, I'm just complaining at the dinner table, right? Or at, that kind of thing. Or I'm going online and you're making comments. It's sometimes we do see some of the comments, but it's really hard to remember everything that's in the comments, and it's good for engagement and things like that, but that's really not the proper method to go about it, and you can't track it. You can't say, oh, I posted a comment on January 5th, not 19. There was no Facebook back then. 2021, and I haven't gotten a response. Okay, well, you probably won't, because the media team is great, but that's not their role to be able to to respond to that. Instant messages, same thing. We get a ton of those, and I'm not sure how the media department handles that, but again, that goes to the media department. It doesn't go to the proper department. So important to do it in these proper formats.
And we could put it on here, when we post like our videos or our YouTube links, like remember to reach out to the department, reach out to your commissioner to say like what's going on. Those are the appropriate manners. And then, so that pretty much wrapped up your meeting from last night at the Harlingen Arts and Heritage Museum. It is a free museum. They have really, really, really neat exhibits happening really now. They have a Dia de los Muertos, and they have one by Mario Godinez. I think it is so neat. Everybody needs to go check it out in person. It's a free museum. They have so much to do there. Go check it out, learn about it. You could also rent that space out. They have a really nice courtyard.
And the weather is starting to
So you could have a party at the Harlingen Arts and Heritage Museum.
You can invite us.
You got to check out the exhibits. And so there's a lot happening in the city of Harlingen as usual. You got to follow us on Facebook. You got to follow us on YouTube. Anywhere you get your podcast, you got to listen to us here. And we did not have any questions for Let's Talk Harlingen at harlingentx.gov. And we actually only have one Yeti left. So
we did. I think, we did have a question, but I think we'll have to save it for the next.
Okay.
And I need to get with staff on it. And it's about a park, and we'll kind of look at that.
Okay.
And I know that that's something that we can chat about, because we got one, and then I think that we had the EDC folks come out, remember? And so, so we'll go back and look at that. So make sure
email us.
Keep emailing us, and we'll definitely have a question on the Ask Harlingen segment on our next episode. But this has been great. I hope you've been following along and you enjoy these commission recaps. If there's anything that you'd like to hear specifically about commission meetings, let us know in the comments once this drops, which will be on Friday, right?
Correct. So Let's Talk Harlingen always drops on Fridays, and you can email us anytime at letstalkharlingen@harlingentx.gov. We have that inbox open and ready to read the questions for you guys. Next week, we are going to be talking to the Birding Festival representative. And the Birding Festival is upon us. So if you want to check out a field trip, you can register at rgvbf.org to get involved with that. And if not, you can check out the expo that's happening at the Harlingen Convention Center. So we will be talking with them to learn a little bit more about the Birding Festival. And please follow us and email us, and we'll see you next time.
That's it for this episode of Let's Talk Harlingen.
If you like what you heard today, make sure to subscribe on our YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
We've got more conversations coming your way. Let's talk again soon, Harlingen.